What in the world would make you inject tiny little needles into your face? Today, we're going to delve into the multi-billion-dollar world of Botox. We're going to learn when to start, how to do it right, and the surprising reason men are doing it more and more. All this coming up. This is KaamnaLive, and every week we're going to tackle a topic that's going to make you just a little bit uncomfortable. $3.2 billion. That's how much revenue sales of Botox generated in 2017. In an age of social media where how we look defines how we feel, surgical procedures such as liposuction, breast augmentation are certainly on the rise. But the real forerunner is non-surgical procedures like Botox and fillers. It used to be that people in their 40s and 50s were using Botox to conceal signs of aging. But today, people in their 20s and 30s are using preventative Botox to keep from aging at all. In some places, it's so mainstream, it's downright rude to walk around with your wrinkles hanging out. I've been to those places, by the way, and they're mildly terrifying. To break it down to me today, we welcome Dr. Ahluwalia. Dr. A, as we like to call him, is a Stanford-trained doctor and has been a staff member there for 10 years. He started practicing Botox when his patients started asking about it, and today is one of the most preeminent practitioners in the Bay Area. Dr. A, welcome.
Thank you.
It is wonderful to have you on the show.
Pleasure to be here.
All right, fix it.
You know, there's a lot that we can do, but I think...
Easy. Let's ease into this.
We'll go slow.
All right.
You know, I think that's a really good way to start, is to start slow when you do these treatments.
So tell us a little bit about it. What is Botox and how does it work?
Sure. So Botox is actually a poison. So it has really actually bad effects when it's super strong.
Okay.
So when we use Botox in an injectable form, like on a face, it's super diluted, and it's a way to relax your muscles. Okay. So it's injected into your muscles, relaxing it, and thus relaxing skin movement.
Does it hurt?
You know, it's kind of like acupuncture. If you're a wimp, it'll definitely hurt.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how you are.
With wrinkles walking, that makes perfect sense.
But you know, like there are techniques to really reduce how much it hurts.
Okay.
It is a needle, though.
So
let's
it's sort
be real.
Of little micro-punctures, is that kind
Micro-punctures in the area you want it.
Typically, where do people put it?
So Botox, technically, you can do in a lot of different locations in the body.
Okay.
But in terms of cosmetic Botox, it's usually eyes and above. So eyes, this area around here, it's called crow's feet, right? There are wrinkles that go this way.
Yeah.
You don't have any.
No, of course I don't have any.
Of course.
There's layers and layers of
this doesn't apply to you
at
all, yeah. And then in the center of the forehead, between the brows, it's another muscle. So when you contract it, many people have what they call angry 11s.
That's the little gap in the forehead.
The gap, but also the lines. So when you inject it, it relaxes those 11s.
Okay.
And then across the forehead for those horizontal lines that many people have.
What about, you said above the eyes was Botox, what about below?
Right. So fillers is usually what we inject. So fillers is generally a gel-like substance that's injected to volumize. So when you think of it, so around here, or the smile lines or even lips, it's a loss of volume. So,
as you age.
As you age. So as we age, different things happen, right? We lose fat in certain areas, it moves to certain areas.
And we gain fat in certain areas.
Gain fat.
Yeah, that's just kind of how it goes.
So fillers are eyes and below. So nasolabial lines is what these are called, lips, and even under the eyes.
Okay.
So it's a balance. It's a balance with Botox and fillers. It's a balance between the muscles and how they move to present a natural look.
That's the thing. So bad Botox is interesting because I've always wondered why celebrities, for instance, I mean, you could take somebody like Joan Rivers and she's made a lot of fun of herself, you know, rest in peace. And that was wonderful because it demystified it a little bit, but it doesn't quite explain why people who have access to a lot of money and ostensibly the best practitioners can still walk around looking monsters. Yeah, exactly.
Let's be real. Let's call it for what it is.
Absolutely. Why does that happen?
It's actually pretty complex, right?
Okay.
So part of it is we don't know the exact dose to give someone to get the results because everyone's faces are different, their muscles are different.
Yeah.
Some people actually like to look that way. scary as that is, they want
crazy.
sort of that flat face, the big lips.
Okay.
And I think that's dictated slightly by where you live. So in Los Angeles, it might be more acceptable.
Yeah.
Up here in the Bay Area, definitely not acceptable.
Do you think it's like a, Trout Pout? Is it like a status symbol?
Depends on what kind of status you're going for.
I walk around Singapore and I see everybody walking with Trout Pout, and it's almost defiant. It's kind of like, yes, I'm aging, but I have the means to set it back.
Possibly.
Maybe.
I mean, in Singapore, I haven't gone to do this experiment and look. But, there is some kind of acceptance, right? That you're trying to prevent it. And some people want people to know that. Yeah. Some people don't. It's entirely personal. But getting back to one other point that you made about that look, right? So some people are more aggressive about how they treat somebody. I always think it's best to go conservative because they can always add more. It's really hard to take this stuff out. You can, but then different things can happen.
Yeah.
So I think it's better to go slow, find the right dose, and then
So how much does it cost then?
So that's another good question. That can vary depending on a lot of different factors. Who's doing it, where you live,
where on your face.
Where on your face, So there's different pricing strategies.
Okay.
But generally it ranges, if we're talking on a per unit dose, anywhere from $10 to $12 per unit.
Okay.
Up to about 20 per unit.
Okay. And how many units go into a particular area?
Yeah, so also again, it depends on the zone and the area that you're treating.
Right.
But if you're doing just sort of a forehead type of treatment for a woman, it's less than a man. Usually between 20 to 30 units, depending on the wrinkles.
Okay.
Around the eyes, another 5 to 10.
And men, just because they have more surface area?
We're stronger. We have bigger muscles.
That's right.
That's obviously, right?
Not because they have more muscles that they need to relax.
Well, the muscles are stronger in the face. So they need more Botox units than a woman does.
Men's muscles are stronger in their face?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
So here's an example. So when you squint, you have a muscle here.
Yeah.
Right? You might not have a very strong one, but guys have a strong one. So it's bigger. Right? So if we're comparing biceps, mine are huge.
Yeah.
Yours,
mine are
not as
bad.
big.
Yeah.
But generally guys
I can take you on. But again,
Should we go?
that's aside.
Yeah. It's generally a guy's muscle structure is larger.
Okay.
Including in the face.
So Botox for men, do you see a lot of men now? I've certainly heard of men who are doing it more and more. I mean, I live in the Castro and they're certainly all over the place. What's your experience with that?
Yeah, so Botox for men is actually much more common than it used to be.
Yeah,
across
sounds
the board.
like it.
Yeah. So what's very interesting about it is men's desire to do Botox is slightly different than women.
Okay.
So women mainly are doing it for aesthetics, right? They want to look as beautiful as they can.
Right.
At least in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
There's a slight job pressure to look a certain way.
So this is an age thing.
It's an age-related pressure for men to look younger.
But do women not face that same one? Because there certainly is a whole lot of ageism.
I'm sure they do as well.
But it's more for men.
But it's men are coming in stating that as a reason.
That is very
more so than women. Of course, men want to look good now too, and they're very aware of these issues. But it's definitely a more objective way for them to feel happy and positive to do it.
There's definitely a self-confidence. I mean, I had, a situation as well where somebody said to me, oh, you're a pretty girl, but the lines on your face. And I was like, to begin with, that was my first reaction. But then I was like, you know what? If this does bother me, I can fix it. And, I'm progressive in so many other ways. I work out and take care of my body. And this is, I color my hair. So why not? I think that for people who want to venture into it, we want to give them the information and safe ways and the right ways to go about in doing it.
Right.
Certainly without the judgment that it currently carries with it today. There are some myths, though, that are associated with Botox, and so let's see if we can dispel some of them.
Sure.
So, for instance, the most common one, I think, is that Botox actually prevents aging. Is that true?
So that's another complicated question. So there are different ways to look at it. My philosophy is if you train your muscles to not move as much, you'll prevent the wrinkle formation because you're not contracting the muscle. The
I'm
injection,
smiling right now,
yeah, stop it. Stop. But the point is, if you Botox every 3 months going forward for the rest of your life, you will prevent it, but you're also injecting it every 3 months.
And I actually read an article, I think it was a study done at the University of Madison, where they said they did research on women that had done on mothers that had done Botox, and the hypothesis is that because Botox relaxes the muscles so much, the brain stops getting messages about what type of emotions are being experienced, and therefore those women were unable to portray those emotions. So to the children in particular, it was just kind of like, "Hi, honey." Look, having been trained as an academician, I get it when it comes to studies, but is there any validity to that? Are we at risk of telling our brain to numb down our emotions because that's what we're doing to our face?
So, I'm not sure about that study and that data.
Right.
There is more data around sort of maybe it can help with depression, right? And there's different ways to interpret that, but I do think there is some relation in terms of emotional well-being, how you look and how you feel, and maybe how you express yourself. I think what you're talking about might be a little bit more extreme.
Yeah.
But there might be some truth in there too.
But then with Botox, it's tricky because we don't know if it is because, for instance, with depression, let's say you frown a lot and now you're frowning less. That's one way for the brain to get a message. Or you're doing Botox, you're feeling better about yourself, and therefore everything's elevated. We don't really know which one it is.
We don't. And there's also a potential theory that there is a biochemical process going on from the molecule that affects brain chemistry.
Within Botox.
Correct.
Now, is Botox like Kleenex? It is the brand name for a particular, Kleenex was the name for tissue. Xerox is the name for a machine that, it became the ubiquitous name because it was the most popular. Is that what Botox is?
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a brand.
It's like a Hoover.
Got it.
It's the premium Botox. Okay. There are other subtypes, but they have small molecular differences.
Okay.
And they're different manufacturers of each.
And that Botox is the one that you'd recommend?
I like it.
Okay.
I think it is more consistent than the other ones, but there's certainly other benefits to using the other ones, and people have different experiences with it. In my practice, use Botox only. Botox, like the real one.
You use Botox. Which are the other ones that are out there, and how should we be looking for the difference?
Right. So Dysport is another brand.
Okay.
And then Xeomin is another brand. So to look for these differences, you just need to ask.
Okay.
You need to ask the doctor or the injector at the office which product they're using. Hopefully they tell you before they do it. But if they don't, feel free to ask which product.
So what is the difference? Why do you pick Botox over the other ones?
Yeah, so I think Botox is more consistent.
So just the same results, more or less, so expected
it's
results.
predictable.
Okay.
I find the others to be less predictable.
Okay.
But, people have different experiences. And some find they like Dysport better. It's fine.
That's what works.
It's how their practice is.
Do people use Botox in areas other than their face?
Yes. So Botox can be used to prevent sweating.
Interesting.
So armpits, right? So men do that more commonly.
Again, is that a muscular thing, or do they somehow mess with the ducts?
It affects the sweat ducts. If somebody has, like in pain, right?
Yeah.
If they have muscle spasms, we can inject it in those muscles.
In that area.
They're very tight. Urologists also are using Botox. Eye doctors use Botox.
What do eye doctors use it for?
So they use it for conditions of the eye where there's spasms. Right?
Oh, like muscular spasm.
Muscular spasm. So it's so versatile. It's actually one of my favorite drugs out there when it's used properly. It's probably a little bit older than 15 years.
Okay.
And the amount of patients that have been treated with it we're talking like millions, like 10 million plus. And the amount of side effects or complications are pretty low as long as the person who uses it knows what they're doing. Of course, if you inject it into a blood vessel, all hands off, right?
So
anything
what happens?
Can happen.
What's the what? You just your face is just going to explode. What happens?
Your face falls off. No, I'm kidding. No, it depends. It can affect how you breathe, right? Yeah. It can affect how your muscles contract. So there are a lot of different effects if you don't do it properly.
Yeah.
All the more reason to be with somebody who knows what they're doing.
I do want to get to that, but I want to get to some of these other uses of Botox first.
Sure.
What about headaches? I've heard that it actually helps with headaches.
So it's actually FDA approved.
Is it?
For migraine headaches. Yeah.
And again, is it the mechanism is the same, relaxes the muscles?
Well, so again, it's a little hard to say. It can be relaxing the muscle, but it's also biochemical, that it might actually help with the pain pathways. The injection technique is different in the sense that you hit more muscle groups when you're doing a migraine treatment than, say, a cosmetic treatment. But my whole theory is that you should look good and feel better, right? If you're going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine
both.
lying down with a migraine, getting some Botox, fixing the migraine, getting rid of the crow's feet, and walking out looking like I'm ready to take on the world. I don't see a downside.
None at all.
Yeah, except for potentially the cost.
Yeah.
And your face falling off with the blood vessel
injection. It doesn't
injection.
fall out that way. But it can also, remember though, Botox lasts about 4 months.
Okay.
And it can take up to 2 weeks to fully set in. So you're not going to see it the moment you walk out. You're not going to be like, I look amazing.
So
you'll start to see it in 3 to 5 days.
Okay.
But then give it a full 2 weeks to see the full results.
But then that's different from people who, will say, hey, I'm going to go do my lips today. That's filler.
That's filler.
Because I have an event tonight.
And you see it right away.
Immediate.
Right, remember, so that's a gel.
Yeah.
You inject it and the results are immediate.
Immediate.
So that's the fundamental difference between Botox and fillers.
After the 4 months, do the muscles go back to where they were originally, or do they sag? What are there's got to be something. Is there a downside?
So basically you return to your native self. So you don't...
except for the fact that you've aged 4 months.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, you're not going to see a huge difference in 4 months in your aging.
Yeah.
But, cumulatively over maybe a year or two, you kind of forget what you looked like before you started the treatment, unless you have a photo. So it's always great to have a photo documentation.
Yeah.
But most people tend to like how they are not aging, so they keep doing it. But you go back to just how you look. It clears out of your system.
But even the keep doing it thing, that's where we end up in Joan Rivers territory, or...
also if you do too much.
But that's what I mean, right? You keep doing it. You keep coming back every 3 months because you liked it. And at some point, is there a tipping point?
Yeah, because it's really how much you get injected in your face. So say you came every 3 months and I put a little bit and you were happy, chances are in 3 months, 10 years from now, you're still doing it.
Okay.
You'll still be pretty happy.
Yeah.
But if we increase that dose, you're going to look like a monster.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that to you anyway.
No.
But that's where you're like,
otherwise I'll take you off the show.
That's when you're like, what happened? Because it's a dose-related treatment. So
what happened to, for instance, Nicole Kidman? Do you remember when Nicole Kidman looked really fresh? And clearly she was doing some Botox. And then she went over that hill. And then she herself made it very clear. She was like, I don't know what I was doing. And I'm done with all of that. Is that just a case of losing track, not keeping photos? What do you think happened?
I wasn't there.
No. So it wasn't you.
It was
you
not
the doctor.
me this time. But she could have had too much. She could have even had a little surgery. It's hard to tell because surgical technique is so good now that you can hide these scars.
Yeah.
Right? So Botox is not going to give you, we see these really funny looking flat faces, but you're not going to get these huge lifts and things like that. That's surgical. So oftentimes it's a combination of the two.
Like Renee Zellweger.
Correct.
Remember when her whole face changed?
What happened?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Literally, she scared the hell out of every audience. And to be fair, I think she would have saved herself a lot of stress if she just come out and said, look, this is what I did, and I wanted a different face, and, mind your own beeswax.
Yeah.
But she left everybody hanging, and there was so much buzz around it.
And it's okay. You do yoga, you work out, you get your face injected.
Exactly the same thing.
Big deal. Have a martini, celebrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Big deal.
But she didn't do that. She didn't just have her face injected, right? You think that there was some structural
I think there was some structural surgical procedure.
Which you cannot undo, typically.
You cannot undo surgery. Technically you can go and try to modify it.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult. Fillers, you can undo. Botox.
How do you undo? You pull them out?
You put an enzyme
that
dissolves. You put an enzyme in there and it dissolves it.
Okay, in the lip. So you inject it back
wherever you put the filler.
Okay.
Botox you can't take out. You have to ride that wave, let it wear out and go.
This is very important. So for somebody who's going in for the first time, or even the second, third, fourth time, how do they find safe clinics and practitioners who know what they're doing? Is there a certification process? How does it work?
So anybody who injects Botox should have a certification.
Okay.
I always think word of mouth. Ask somebody you know what their experience is, if they like that person, how the staff was. It's not just the person injecting, it's the follow-up care. It's, do you get instructions? Do they troubleshoot if something happens? So those things are all really important to know.
What would go wrong? What could you troubleshoot?
You could get an imbalance, right? So
lopsided face.
Yeah, you can have a little bit of like an elevated brow. Of course, no one's trying to do this on purpose.
Right
yeah, no one's doing it on purpose.
But I'm just very intrigued.
Can you guys see this? Do you see this? Yeah. We can take care of that. So nobody intends to ever have a side effect like that, but it can happen, right? Because I can't see your muscles, but they're easily correctable.
Okay.
So knowing how experienced the person is, do they understand the drug? And it's okay to ask them, to be like, hey, how many have you done?
Right.
What's your background? Because there are a lot of different type of people injecting out there.
Do you have to be a doctor to...
You don't. In California, you don't have to. A nurse can inject,
Okay.
And even a dentist can. So just be careful.
Do you have a sense of what it's like in other states?
I believe in Arizona, an esthetician can inject.
Okay. So it's very important. Is there a website where you can actually figure out what the regulations should be in your state so you can walk in a little bit more informed?
So you can look at the medical board in California and see a physician's background. You can look at the American Academy of Dermatology or plastic surgery. So those specialties in particular have more of those credentials. But say you have somebody who is like an OBGYN, right? They also inject Botox. And that's
Where are they putting it?
They're putting it in your face. I mean,
I'm
they
confused.
also do it, say a dentist can do Botox.
Oh, I see. Okay.
An OBGYN can do Botox.
Okay,
right?
so they're authorized to do it.
They're authorized to do it.
But if they're delivering your baby...
That's not the time to do Botox.
Correct. Just
in your face or anywhere. Let them do their job, deliver the baby, and then get some Botox.
Got it. So actually, how young should people be starting?
So I think a safe time, I think early 20s, no way. If someone's in their late 20s and they have wrinkles, I think that's a reasonable time. Part of this is genetics, right? You can look at, say, a parent, and you can kind of predict what's going to happen. And if someone's in their late 20s and they already have lines, and I've seen this quite often, I think it's okay if they understand it and what we're doing. But certainly 30s, 40s, perfectly good time to start.
What about race? Does that play into come into action?
Caucasians definitely have more lines.
Oh, okay, so it's true.
It's true. Darker pigmented skin, definitely less lines.
And black don't crack?
Black does crack.
Black does crack?
Does crack.
At 50, just later than everybody else.
Later than everybody else, for sure.
And
at least in my experience, let's just say that.
And sunblock is
critical
key. Across the board.
So I'm not a skincare person, but I tell everybody after they get their Botox, as they're getting their Botox, that I don't care what else they do to their face, you must wear sunblock. Do
you put sunblock soon after a session?
No, so generally keep your face clean for about 12 to 24 hours if you can.
Okay.
Let the little pokes heal and settle, and then sunblock. So wear a hat in between, of course.
Do the pokes leave marks?
No.
So you could conceivably do it and go and have a regular day.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though you're waiting a few days for the results to kick in, or a few weeks.
So the whole thing about these treatments is that there's very little downtime. So when somebody walks out of my office, they look just like this, like they did before they came in.
They woke up like this.
They woke up fantastic, right?
Do you inject yourself?
Absolutely.
Really?
I practice on this canvas.
You're kidding. That's a whole level of commitment. I'm very,
that's
very
how dedicated
impressed.
I am.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a little game for you.
Okay.
I'm going to pull out some celebrity names, and you're going to tell me whether they are no tox, as in they haven't done anything at all, more tox, as in they've probably done too much, or a new word I learned from you earlier today as we were setting up is scrotox, which is exactly what it sounds like. And, this is obviously exclusive to the men. So no tox, Motox, or scrotox. Mr. George Clooney.
I would say...
Please say scrotox.
I don't have the experience to talk about his scrotox.
Right.
But it's possible.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. Possible scrotox.
But what do you think about the no or the more?
Is there a medium tox?
Sure.
I'd say, he has pretty appropriate tox.
Yeah, but you think he has something?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he probably does.
J-Lo.
I would say it depends on the day.
Okay.
Not on the day, but time in her treatments. I would definitely say some tox.
Okay, I like some tox. At least you didn't say scrotox.
No scrotox for J-Lo.
No scrotox for J-Lo. Let's do George Clooney's buddy, Brad Pitt.
Sometimes Motox.
I agree. There are definitely times when he looks like stuff's not moving when it should be. Jennifer Aniston.
More tox.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston, love you, but sometimes it's a little much.
It is. Somebody I am a big fan of is Mr. Hugh Jackman. Scrotox.
I think so.
Yeah, just impeccably groomed all the time.
Yeah, head to toe, everything.
Literally head to scrotum.
Scrotum.
Dr. A's website has a ton of resources, and you can also find the resources that he recommends for us on KaamnaLive.com on the resources page. But let me ask you one more time, a couple of websites or podcasts or even Twitter accounts that you think would be useful for people to follow as they want to keep up with the research, they want to learn more about it, and maybe get a little bit deeper into this new world.
Sure. So Real Self is another website.
Okay.
It's more of a discussion forum.
Okay.
When you look at all these websites, right, just always have a sense of reading more than one.
Yeah,
because you want a diversity of thought, because not one of them is perfect.
Yeah.
Right? So definitely do that. I would check out the Academy of Dermatology, like we talked about, plastic surgery.
Okay.
Even the Allergan, so Allergan makes Botox.
Allergan is the company, right?
They actually have pretty fair representation on their website of Botox.
When you say fair,
fillers.
What do they say could be a potential
they list all the side effects.
Okay.
Their pictures are real.
Okay.
They're not like sketches and hypothetical looking people. They're real, and they show a progression of what is reasonable to expect. So I actually think it's a good website. Yeah,
it sounds fair. And again, as a practitioner, or being unaffiliated with the company, if that's something that you recommend, it's definitely worth putting stock in. Dr. A, thank you so much for coming on the show. And for anybody else out there, like I said, Dr. Ahluwalia's website as well as KaamnaLive.com. And we will see you on the next episode.